Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Hello, good
Can you
evening.
hear us?
Good morning.
Hello. It's so happy to see you again, guys. Honestly, it has been a long time. Well, at least for me, that's the way I feel. It has been a long time. We haven't been live here with you guys. And this afternoon, we were like, yeah, we should be coming. We should be doing the live show today. Actually, we need it. We kind of want to see you again, guys. Just let me finish to put this thing here to make sure that we can see you. We can see the comments and everything else. There we go. Okay. So here we are once again, beginning this beautiful month of February, and Linda is traveling right now, so she won't be with us. Maybe she will pop up later on. We don't know. She's very unpredictable. And but today we're going to be talking about are you using your willpower in the now? Very, 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 very powerful and up to date topic. And how do you say actuality topic. Um, we remember that everything is becoming instant. Everything that we do is the manifestation is becoming literally instant. Living on the now is becoming more prominent, and if we pay attention to everything that we do, to everything that we think, everything that we act, we speak, everything is being manifested. So we need to be more aware now than ever. What is what we're creating for ourselves. What future are we, what foundation are we building for ourselves as an individual and as a collective. And here is where the willpower kicks in. When you see the patterns, when you see the beliefs that are still held within us, when we see the distortion, the density, the wounding, are we using our willpower to change in the now? Not tomorrow, not yesterday, not for next week, is in the now. So that is going to be our topic today. And we're going to share our experiences because we have dealing with, we have been talking about that for the last few days between us. And we would like to share with you guys our experiences on such a topic. I don't know if somebody wants to say something before we get into the subject. Margaret, Christy, Vincent, Vicky, Nikki, myself, welcome you guys. And we're so happy to see you again, guys. Really, really, truly happy to be back.
So I have to give you a little bit of it says what's going on for a few days that you don't often think about your willpower. And it's very important because you can get lost because what you think and what your consciousness thinks it's very important because even myself, I thought, well, I'm thinking this way, and then things be pointed out and I'm going, oh, so I'm saying something before I'm really thinking about it, using my consciousness thinking or using my willpower, because if you catch it, whatever you say, then you're using your willpower. And so I've been finding really being pointed out different things that I'll say or do, and it's got to be corrected because you want to follow your willpower. And your willpower can also be used, in my belief, what I'm picking up on it is that you use your willpower to go into God's consciousness and go to heaven, if you will, or use your willpower to stay here. And so it's really getting profound, that really finding out the difference and how powerful we can be. And so choose your willpower properly and use the power that we do have, and not keep looping and looping and looping. And really look at you I really had to keep looking into myself, what I really want. And I mean, saying what you want and really going into your heart and choosing the willpower or your Christ consciousness to really what you want. And so it's been really challenging, and I'm finding anyway. So I'll let somebody else talk a little bit more. And if of course, I'll think of something else and I'll pop right back on.
Well, I was thinking of something. I know when we were talking about willpower and thinking about what we say before we say it, and something I was talking to Dad tonight actually had to do with controlling and thinking about what I was saying and conscious parenting, if you will. And I was having a conversation with my one son on Thursday night. He was feeling very back up against the wall by people, feeling like he was being forced to do something because we all think he's lazy, which of course has some truth. But again, I was trying to set an example, and I realized when I was about to set my example that I almost compared him to my other son. So example would be, he likes to hand out resumes online. He doesn't want to be seen. He wants to do everything by your phone. Where my other son, I took him to 3 different places to go hand out resumes to show your face. So I almost said well, it only took your brother 3 resumes to get a job interview. And to have to literally stop myself, because it wasn't that I wanted to compare. I wanted to use it as motivation and an example, but then the harsh was comparison, and then I was going to cause them to have a competition with each other. So I had to stop in the moment, Kendall. So I had to stop in the moment and be like, yes, your brother got very angry at me because I forced him to go and hand out 3 resumes in person. And then I stopped. But could you imagine if I didn't have consciousness of the words that I was saying, and now what I would have been projecting out between the 2 of them is now competition, and now one was better than the other. So I think the awareness of words you say really can help stop projecting too, and causing issues that don't need to be there, if you will, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's like we were sharing, Vicky was sharing with us, is that you catch yourself on the moment, before you speak. And that is becoming more prevalent, because more prevalent. Why? Because right away, you're going to be able to see the consequences and results of your actions. When before it was not, it was not so evident, but now you're going to be able to see that right away, that action that you took, that thought, that word, that action is going to have that the effect, the consequences and results in a very short period of time. It's not going to take that long, and you're going to be able to see what you have decided to do. So like Christy said, it's just maybe at the beginning, you're not going to be catching yourself before, but you're going to be catching yourself short time after one screw up. You're like, shoot, man. You're like, shoot, I did it again. But that's good. That's good. Before, you didn't catch yourself at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say shoot.
Yeah.
What do you say, Marguerite?
And then you began to catch yourself, but it took you a while. But now you're catching yourself just pretty much very close after you make the mistake or after you screw up. You're like, oops. And then what you have to do is you have to catch yourself before everything before it takes whatever your thought, your actions, or your words
take
place to the physical.
Yeah.
Before it leaves your energy field. Before you do that, and in order for you to do that, you need to have a willpower. You need to have the desire of changing, the desire, the strength of doing things differently. The desire has been always there, but now you have to do it to manifest that willpower right away, to stop yourself. One of the things that we have talking about also is that honestly, when one gets really tired of pain and suffering, one starts changing. Really, say, I'm done. I'm done with this. I mean, I'm just done. I mean, this cannot continue. And then you start paying more attention to whatever is happening to your life. You start observing more what is happening to your life, and you start listening the inner voice from the heart, not from the mind. And then you start enhancing the willpower that you already have, because the willpower is already there. You already have it, and it's very powerful. It's extremely powerful, but you start using it in a much wiser way, not only on a tunnel vision way of that we have done it for so long, for many lives. So I have the desire I want to have, and I want to use my willpower to change, because I'm tired of what I have done in my life. I'm really tired. I don't want that life anymore. And if I really want to change, I have to use my willpower to do so.
Yeah. It's all in the willpower, that's for sure.
When I was just thinking when you were saying that of again, I put everything to parenting. I apologize, but
that's
so
okay. I mean, everything
today,
works.
Yeah. Well, today we had a thing with Kendall, and again, all the reflections, so much for me to look at. But today we had a little bit of an argument about, she's like, well, you're forcing me to do something. You're forcing me to do something. And I said, okay, we need to step back and we need to look at this. I said, the way that you feel inside is the way that you treat people out here. So what you put out is how they're going to treat you back. Okay, so let's look at how you feel. But at the same token, when we ask you to pick up your toys, and we've asked you probably 3 times, by the 3rd time, you've got 3 rooms in this house full of toys. Now we're telling you you're picking them up, or we're going to throw them out. That's not forcing you. You've taken your free will choice to not pick up your stuff the first 3 times we've asked you, and put them away super easy. Then this confrontation never comes. You're done playing with the toy, you go put it away. We don't have to get into this, but because you've chosen to destroy 3 rooms, fine and dandy, it is what it is. But you have to pick them up at one point in time, and you're choosing to feel like you're being forced because you didn't want to do it the first 3 times. So there's still a choice. You're still getting choices, and you'll be your free will choice, or you're going to feel like you're forced to take that one last choice. And I sat there and I looked at myself and I'm like, okay, my soul gives me choices, and my soul is going to give me, 1, 2, or 3 easy ones. And then all of a sudden that 4th one's going to smack me in the face and say, look at Christy, you're even taking it the first 3 times. So I'm going to we're going to make this the ugly way if we've got it. So that was just an example I had of choice.
When you were speaking, when you were giving that example, and you say that Kendall says, you're forcing me, it came to me that that's exactly what the mind does when we allow the mind to run our lives. The mind is always going to find an excuse, to find a reasoning, to find a fit understanding on the situation in order for us to take that, put it this way, easy exit, but not taking responsibility and accountability of our own actions, you know. And on the other hand, is going to play the following step on that process, which is the victimization of, because once that the consequences and results are here, we're going to see that energy that goes out is coming back, and we're not going to like it. And then we're going to play the victim part, you know, and start blaming half of the world for that. So everything is the mind tricking us, you know. So that's where we have to exert the willpower to stop those thoughts, you know, to stop those patterns that we are so used to, that humanity has been so used to live with, and so conditioning to live with, you know. So it just kind of course, I mean, you were talking about a 6-year-old girl, but the example applies to everything that we do, you know, every single person. I mean, we all have gone through those patterns. And the thing here is that the process of the willpower is not trying, it's not I'm thinking, it's not I believe, it's not okay, maybe, no, it's a force within, is something that it comes within, that it tells you, it dictates you, and it tells you and give you the choices. It just comes directly from the soul, you know, and it's telling you, okay, this is the options that you have, you know, and it's me at the end who is going to take the decision of what it is. And it's where the willpower comes from, you know. So if I decide now, if I decide to take the soul choices, what happens is that I'm putting myself, excuse me, I'm putting myself out of what is familiar and comfortable to me. And that takes work. That takes an effort, because I'm changing a pattern, you know, and that's what the mind kicks in and say, oh no, that's too much work. It's not worth it, you know. You're not good for this. I mean, start bombarding you and letting you know that that's not the right route, you know, that is the willpower that you need to be.
Step up the willpower.
Exactly, step up into the willpower on your own. I say on your own, with yourself, on your own, and say, no way, we're going this way now. And it may be scary at the beginning. The mind is going to start bombarding you with scary thoughts, you know, and it's sending you all these scary scenarios, consequences that somebody told you about, that you saw in a movie, that you read in a newspaper.
In comes the victim and the fear, right?
Exactly, that has nothing to do with your life at all, because you're used to live and feed yourself from the outside world. You just bring it to you. You know, so the willpower is like, no, wait, hold it right there, güerita. Güerita means blondie. Hold it right there. You know, not too fast, güerita, not too fast, you know. So, but it takes guts.
Oh, that reminds me, that guts, that's a good word, but Linda used a word with us over this past week about where's your tenacity?
Tenacity, exactly.
Tenacity, I love that word.
Yeah.
Because that's where, if you have the tenacity, the willpower is easy.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just, you need to break your own rules, because that's what we have built through our lives. We have created our own world with our own set of rules that accommodate us. And you have to break your own rules. Why? Because those rules that you have created for yourself have proven to you through aeons of time that the only thing that it is causing is chaos.
Yeah.
1, twice, three times, 4 times, thousands of times. Why? Because you limited tunnel vision.
Yeah.
The way human being thinks about themselves is only the me thing. Me.
And then in that point as well, we have to make sure, not to think about ourselves. Because when we choose the wrong, whatever the scenario is, we are also reverberating that out to the collective. So if any of us don't catch ourselves or use our willpower to change, we're always reverberating our loop. And it's not just coming back to me, but I'm sending it out to Christy, Marguerite, and Vicky and Nikki, and Vicky and Nikki again.
Yeah, these days.
Try to get those straight every time, right? When you're talking to them. But that's true. It is very selfish if we don't catch it. And then, you end up being into this victim game and a blame game, and then you're being shameful, right? So we have to catch all this. And that's all in the willpower. Yeah.
I know when we were traveling, and there was a couple of us in the car, and two of them are talking up front, and then two in the back are just doing their thing or whatever. And I'm sitting there and I have no conversation going. And at first my mind's like, oh, nobody likes you. Nobody wants to talk to you, And it's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me, Nikki? It's like, no. And I said, you know what this is? This is showing you what you have done in the times past in traveling and sitting there and being quiet and not saying anything. So now it's coming back to you to look and see, how does that feel? And I was like, that didn't feel very good. So, I'm seeing that I have to use my willpower in not letting myself pull in that victim mentality, because that just doesn't work, and it just brings in more chaos, like Mariana and Vincent said, and then when you bring that in, it just keeps rippling out, and it's like, I got to stop that ripple right here, right now. And so, it's like I have to stop with that victim mentality and change what it is that I'm experiencing. I'm experiencing quietness, nobody talking. Why? Because that's what I've been putting out. And so, I'm seeing that, wow, things are coming back to us so fast, and it's just and so it takes willpower to see it on the other side of it instead of from where normally it's been seen.
Yeah. And we'll turn around and we will in the car and say, Nikki, you're not saying anything.
Yeah.
Why not? What are you thinking?
And I find with how fast everything is happening really fast right now. But also, as I say that, I was just kind of processing how fast I'm actually catching things more than I maybe was even 2 months ago. Like, I do notice that on Thursday, when I was having this issue with my son, I went into the victim mode of, how did I get it so wrong? How did I lead him astray so bad? How did I do this to him? How did I, as a mom, not succeed in helping his path be that better than what it is? And then today with Kendall, when I had that kind of a situation come up with her, I put my head and I'm like, how did I do this twice? Like, how did I do? And I went, no, these are things right now. Let's deal with this right now. Let's look at because I can do this right now. I've got the tools I need and the willpower I need and the strength and the heart that I need to do this. Now, I didn't fail anybody. Everything is new every now. And what was now 5 minutes ago and what is now is completely different. And it's what I do with that now. And so I stopped myself today, mind you, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 days later, but I stopped myself from going into that victim mode and said, my now right now is a teaching moment. And I need to use this as a teaching moment. And then I need to sit and look at what she was showing me on top of that. Right. So I was like, pat on the back, Christy, for looking at that now and not putting yourself in the why, how did I screw up again, right? Because we're really quick to put ourselves down as parents, but there really is no handbook, especially when you're trying to do it from the mind, right? The whole point is use your consciousness, use your willpower, use your heart, all of that. So it was really nice to stop that looping of victimization today.
Nikki, sorry, Christy, you're making a very powerful, you just say a very powerful key right there in the now. That precisely is included in that topic of our the title of the topic for our show tonight, in the now. One of the things that we all have experiencing, and if we really pay a close attention, we're going to see that the only thing that exists is the now. Nothing else. There is no past, there is no future. It's here in the now. So whatever you do here in the now is going to have a ripple effect on your future. But what you do here is you're not, what I mean is, let's put it this way. By taking action or not taking action in the now is what is going to be in the future. And whatever action or choice you take is going to be in the future. You're not creating on the future just by thinking or by believing that you're building a future. No, it's now. It's in this moment as we are speaking, we are creating our own future, what is going to happen later. So my question to me that I share with all of you guys is, are my thoughts, my words, and my actions fully aligned? And not only aligned, but aligned with the divine will. Are they aligned between them? And are they aligned between them and with the divine will? What am I creating now? How am I using my willpower in this very moment to create a solid foundation for me and the collective, on the future? But it's now, it's in this very moment in which I have to make use of my willpower, but not to benefit myself, but for the betterment of all. Because that's where we're heading to live as a unity, as a whole. We still will hold our uniqueness. And our uniqueness, it doesn't mean that we are separated. On the contrary, our uniqueness, what it does is contributes with specific features and tasks to the complement of all. It's like the small piece on the big puzzle. You have a beautiful 3,000, 4,000, 10,000 pieces puzzle, but believe me, if there is one left, that's the first thing that you will see. I don't care how big the puzzle is. The first thing that you will notice is that piece that is missing among 10,000. Or if they are not placed correctly, you will see them. All pieces are necessary, but some pieces are on the edge, some pieces are on the center, some pieces have one color, some pieces have multiple colors, but all of them are needed. And that's the way of thinking, the way of feeling that we have to be driving by, that whatever I do now, the correction that I do to myself now, using my willpower, is going to be for the betterment of all. Regardless if I think that way or not, or if I feel that way or not, still there is going to be a ripple effect to everything, to the collective. So it's better to be conscious and using the willpower to change that is not good for everybody, neither for myself, to change the patterns, to change the distortion, to check the wounding, to catch ourselves, But like Vicky said, and Linda was sharing with us, you need to have tenacity. You need to be persistent on really wanted and the really deep desire of make a difference in your life.
Great. What I think when Linda was talking to us about this, it's like this. Are you happy with where you are? And if not, how are you using your willpower in every now moment?
Yep.
Do you have the tenacity to actually change your own patterns, your own thoughts,
Yeah.
and create something new for yourself and all of us, because like the way Mariana was showing us, we're all pieces of the puzzle and we all have a big job to do.
Yeah, we're complementary.
Yeah.
We're complementary. We complement each other.
Yeah, each puzzle piece supports the next puzzle piece and the whole big picture. It's just, you know.
Yeah.
All build around.
That's for sure.
It was a good example. I'm sorry. I was just picturing that. I'm picturing the puzzle and literally how there's all these pieces, like literally holding and supporting together. Like and literally if there's one piece missing out of 10,000, it's just the most beautiful visual you guys have given me there.
Right. It's the being interconnected and knowing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, that also has to do that we're here to support each other.
Mhm. Interdependence
Exactly.
instead of codependent like it used to be.
Yeah.
Exactly. We move from codependency to independency, and now it's interdependency. You know, that was the cycle. We close the cycle with that interdependency, but also, but it has to be they're willing to help each other, you know, to be here for each other, not only for myself, you know, and sometimes that is kind of tough, you know, because we don't want to hurt somebody else, or so many constraints, you know, so many limitations that the human mind has regarding trying to be there for others, you know, and be there for the others not necessarily means that you're going to be holding their hands and crying with them. No, it means also that you're going to be helping them to see what it has to be changed, you know, to see those things that we're not able to see in ourselves, you know, or not even willing sometimes, or many times not willing to see the reflection in others, you know.
Somebody made a comment, when you move your head, the volume drops.
Oh, okay. Sorry, guys.
To the left.
Okay.
To the left.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. There is a question you say?
Yeah.
Can you read? Can you read? I don't get my glasses.
Oh,
The one question up there, I have a question. Can I tell people that they are looping and they are not aware of it, or stay in my lane and be quiet?
Okay.
I was just gonna say that it depends to me if they're on this journey, are they really aware? I mean, if you can tell that somebody's looping, that's fine, but if they have no clue that what we're talking about or anything, you can say something, but they're not going to understand it.
No, I'm sorry, but I disagree with that. I fully disagree with that, because I'm thinking about my blood family. You know, I'm thinking about my own family, my friends. They have nothing to do with this, honestly. All of them, many of them, nothing to do with this. And many times I have done it in the past, you know, and I have speaking with them, and it has nothing to do with awareness. You know, it's obvious that they are falling on the same loop, you know, just kind of going on the same thing. It comes to a moment in which you cannot not say anything, regardless if the person is on the spiritual part of that has nothing to do, is because it's affecting you. You're seeing it from a different perspective, it's affecting the person and it's affecting you as well. And it comes that responsibility. Remember, the higher you go in frequency, the higher responsibility you have for your own field and whoever is around you. So you have a responsibility to address the situation. Maybe not the same way that I am addressing it with you, for example, you know, but you will find a way to help and show that person the looping that he or she is going through.
Right. So you have, I think it's our responsibility.
Yes, it
As
is.
long as it's done in the right way. And the other thing is, like Linda has talked about this a lot, there's people in the world that we might not know, or they're not aware, right? But they're actually living a pretty amazing life and in integrity.
Yeah.
And you know, they haven't done classes and all of that. They just are a certain way. And sometimes we judge people because maybe, you know, they haven't done a class, or you don't know them, and they could be actually a pretty amazing person. So take the chance for sure.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
And the comment they've made was just to be honest and to help. That's why I wanted to tell them, but they will get triggered. Well, and the thing to look at that is a lot of time when people get triggered, it's because it's the truth and they don't want to see the truth. But all you can do really is if you feel to share that and express that, then that's all you can do.
Right.
Sometimes also is just being aware if you're very neutral about expressing and just showing them their looping or reflections, or that they've been down this road before, or are you being judgmental of it? Because sometimes if you're being judgmental on it, there's a reflection there for you that you also need to look at, in a message that's there for you. So sometimes being aware of your own judgment or neutrality in that moment. But if they're going to get triggered, they're going to get triggered. Like the truth triggers, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, I mean, if you see somebody looping, at least that's one thing that I've been practicing lately, and it has helped me a lot. If you see something that is the person is looping, or you see any manipulation, victimization, whatever, the first thing that I ask is, okay, what is that reflection here?
For yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
For myself. What is that reflection here for myself? And believe me, as soon as I do that questions, I mean, the whole thing shifts for me, because I have a different perspective, and it really gives me peace of mind. You know what it does? It takes me out of that judgmental point of view. That's what it does. And it puts me on a centered perspective, on a more centered perspective, because I'm seeing the thing as me, as a reflection first, and then I can deal with the rest, you know. Because if it's in your field, if it's presented to you, it's because some way, somehow, it's still within you. Maybe not presented exactly the same way that is happening there, but the energetic template is present. Remember, everything is energetic. It's energy, it's energetic template that we're talking about, you know. So, yeah, definitely and also there is another thing besides the responsibility part that I will add to it. Is an act of love, an act of compassion. I'm not talking that you're going to go and change the people, but you're going to help them to see a different perspective that they are not able to see in that very moment. Yes, they might get triggered, because what Christy said, truth hurts. But you put the seed there. That's the main thing. You put the seed there. And it's an act of love. It really is, you know. I mean, you can see it from so many angles, but stay quiet. I don't think it's a choice anymore.
And just an example of how we were talking about how fast things are moving and planting the seed. And like I said, with Michael, what we said triggered him. I'm going to use the example of work. Well, literally the next day, a few hours later, was the reconstruction of a resume. So even though the conversation about not being motivated, using anxiety and depression, and not getting up during the day, all of that really triggered him and made him angry. After a few hours of reflection for him, the next day he's rebuilding a resume. So even though the reflection of truth really, really bothered him, how quickly was that seed planted, and already he wanted to change what was coming next. That was within less than 24 hours. Like, things are happening so fast.
You know, and with that, Christy, that reminds me that, you know, when we're on the receiving end of given, you know, someone coming to us and explaining our looping, we have to be in the proper mindset to take it as information, because our old programming, the victim, we take it as, oh, I'm so this, I'm so that, oh, poor me, instead of looking at it as, okay, this is information. Thank you. Because that is a very loving act to give someone that information when they are looping or whatever their situation is. And it's really, truly the best thing we can do for each other. When someone brings something to me, in the beginning, I did take it personal and I did, take that victim mentality on, but the longer, I've been around and the more I see, it's like, this is valuable information for me. They love me, and that's why they're giving me this information, and on that too, it's like, if I'm not giving that information out to my sisters and brothers, then where's my love in that, So, I mean, it really has all kinds of beautiful angles for us to look at.
Another thing that I would like to share with you guys, somebody asked me a question yesterday, I don't remember. Well, that ding ding was is somebody asked me a question yesterday. It took me 3 years, almost 3 years, to get to the point that I am right now, and somebody asked me why did it take me that long? And what did it change? What happened that it was a breaking point for me to start changing, So my response is, okay, I've been very stubborn, all my life. So I never believed anything, and that took me longer because I didn't want to believe anything. The belief of not believing anything, it kept me there, because that is a belief too. When you don't want to believe anything, it's a strong belief.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to a point in which happened a couple of events in my life. One that after my mom passed away, a year later, I wrote down a letter to my sisters, letting them know that recognizing everything that I did in my life with my mom, that I was taking full responsibility for. That unfortunately, through her whole life, it was a misunderstanding on my behalf, and I never corrected. And I totally recognize that, And I wrote more in depth from what I'm telling you guys, but I remember that I didn't know that they shared that letter with my dad. I didn't know that they did that. So finally, one day, my dad, we were speaking, and I remember that my dad was telling me previous calls before that one, he was saying, oh, I forgot, I have to tell you something. And we kept talking about something else. So next time that we spoke, he kept saying the same thing until finally he said, well, I have to tell you something. And he said, your sisters gave me, read the letter that you sent to her. It was difficult for him to talk with me regarding that letter. That's why he kept postponing it, for several days. And he said, what you did on that letter, it really took the burden out of ourselves, because we always thought that it was our fault, everything that we did to you. So it was like a holy shit,
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I just couldn't believe what I was listening, honestly. So I closed a full circle with them, despite that my mommy wasn't alive anymore. I mean, her energy is still here, but not her vessel. We closed the full circle, and from that moment on, things began to shift for me. And it was like, and I didn't notice that. I became more aware of the changes down the road, and I started looking at myself, and I was asking myself, I said, well, it's kind of weird that I don't feel this way anymore. It's kind of weird that that sensation is not there anymore. You know, those old ways of being began to dissipate, just to move away. I'm like, wow, it's kind of cool. You know, things that I got so used to of being that way, they were not there anymore. So once that I untied the knot, that it kept me as a prisoner for my entire life, everything begins to disappear. Just like you have a castle of sand, and when the wind comes, it just blows the sand away, just like that, you know. And I say, well, but what was the key here? And the key here is that I truly, truly, truly took responsibility and accountability for my acts.
Mhm.
That was the changing point. And that was the first one. There were a major ones that came after. And I start taking full accountability and responsibility of what I have done. And that opened the channel for my willpower to come full force. I mean, it was just kind of, that's the only thing that I had to do. Truly by heart, take accountability and responsibility for what I have done. That was the key. Was amazing. I mean, I'm still speechless, believe me, guys.
Mhm.
I'm still speechless for that.
Yeah.
Cool, huh?
I have an example of using willpower and tenacity that I just went through. Last month, my dad transitioned. He left his body. And the couple months before, it was about 2 months, maybe 6 weeks. Every time I came to his house, if something came up and I felt like it needed to be said, I said it. And things unfolded so beautifully. There was things he didn't know about, you know, from me and my brothers when we were growing up, that he didn't understand why things were a certain way. I thought he knew. By the time he passed away, I'm complete. I'm fully complete with him. There was nothing left unsaid. But every day I came over, I used my willpower with tenacity because I didn't want him leaving until I felt, and he felt complete. So, you know, maybe, you know, that thing, live each day like it's your last. Well,
Mhm.
that's kind of an example for that type of thing. Like,
That's a
you
good
know,
point.
your family member or friend or somebody you don't even know walking down the street could have 50 years. You could never see that person again. But taking the now moment and using your willpower and saying the things that are important. Yeah.
Yeah. The key is the now, guys.
It's the now, for sure.
The key is the now. And I'm telling you guys, I mean, the more we pay attention to our lives, the more we will see that the only thing that exists is the now. I mean, it's just, I remember Linda has been telling us that for, I don't know, since I first time met her 3 years ago, for me, almost 3 years ago. And it was very difficult for me to grasp the now concept, you know, but now I'm living it. You know, we were wearing, I think I don't know, we were to the Redwoods yesterday, but I don't know if it was
I know
yesterday
what you're gonna say.
or the day before yesterday. Somebody was telling, I don't remember. I don't remember. Anyway, so somebody was, we were talking about this show today. I think I asked for the show today or the webinar. I don't remember what I asked for. Oh, I thought that we were on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought that we were on Tuesday, and I think it was Friday. It was yesterday? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
I asked, what day is today? I thought it was Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that. I said, fuck, what is the other days?
We said it's Friday.
Yeah, when they say it's Friday, I was like, no, that's not true. I mean, how, what are the other 2 days? You know, like I started. So one thing that I realized yesterday is that the calendar is fading away. What I mean is, I know it's a new day because I see the sunrise, because I wake up, but I don't have recollection, neither cross my mind, the number of the day, neither the name of the day. The only thing that I know is a brand new day. That's all. And it was kind of, wow, that's cool. Like, and then I thought, how am I going to do when I have an appointment? I don't know. But that's cool. I mean, that sensation that the only thing that exists is this moment. Is a relief. It's a relief, literally. It's a blessing, because you don't carry the burden anymore of what you're going to do tomorrow or what you have done. The only thing that you know for sure is that today, in this now, you're building the foundation for tomorrow.
Yeah.
You have no other choice but focus on the now.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's really cool, guys.
So Lily asked a question. I just wanted to add to what Chrissy answered.
Yeah. What was the
She
question?
asked about, Chrissy, do you have her question up there? I can't see it.
Yep, it was, how do we detox all the info in our mind? Just be present and not think?
Right. So Chrissy answered the candle work, which is obvious. Good one. To learn to quiet your mind with your breath, right? But as you're moving through your day, that's perfect. That's a perfect question, because it takes willpower to recognize the old information and override it. So the candle work, and then using your willpower you'll notice old information coming up and you just override it. So those two together should help.
And I find one other thing that I do is remembering to be in the now. So an example would be whether I was taking the parenting course or doing this live. I try not to glance over at this so much to read it, because then I'm not necessarily listening to who's speaking. So
Right.
if I look at the person who's speaking and process and take in their information, then I find that I'm keeping my mind exactly where I'm being able to control that I'm listening to what's coming in, and I'm not wandering thinking about what do I got to pick up at the grocery store later, because that's mind clutter, right? So to me, being able, even if you're having a conversation or a phone call, or if I'm listening to a video and I'm paying attention and looking at where I am in that moment, I find helps with the staying present.
Right.
And not feeling, and you're blocking that distraction and chatter going on in the mind.
Right.
Well, also too, to help still the mind too, is be more active with the body. Get out, do more. If you don't walk, get out, start walking, running, or whatever. That was brought up to me that, yeah, I do candle work too, but Linda stated, Vincent, you still need to slow your mind down. She said, get your body active, get out and start doing more.
Yeah.
And then that just brings the balance up. So, and that gets you into the now. And just another little tidbit, I can't remember the exact scenario. I think it was 2-3 days ago, we were sitting here talking and something was said. I said, oh yeah, that happened to me, or that happened, whatever it was, a couple of years ago. And then all of a sudden it was brought up, well, why are you thinking about the past? And I thought it was just a simple statement, if you will, but it's like, that's the past. We're in the now.
Right.
It's like, oh shoot,
Right.
Yeah,
So we used to
so-
just regular, what I would call regular old conversations. And
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that
that's
needs
a
to be
key.
52.
Yeah.
So Lily also asked if she could do the candle on her phone, if that was the same, and I would say no. That the flame is the fire element. So
Yeah.
when you're staring at it, you're breathing the
Mhm.
flame
energy of the
into your
flame,
heart,
the
the
energy of the
fire
flame.
element.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
The real thing, not the artificial intelligent ones,
yeah.
Yep.
the real one.
Right.
The real.
Sometimes, we have to talk out loud to ourselves too,
Mm,
Yeah.
to get that information out and then, bring our innate back in, back in. And it takes it takes practice on that. I'll be the first to admit I'm not very good at talking out loud to myself. It feels awkward. I'll be honest, it feels awkward, but I'm finding it's necessary. It's for
Mhm.
myself, it's necessary for me to talk out loud and get that old information out. Because once it's out, then I can put the good in.
mhm.
So, that helps
Well,
too.
that puts you in the conscious.
It does. It really does, because it will bring you to the now as well.
I just would like to go back to what Vicky said about talking the same conversations. That's a key, guys. That's a key, and I think it's a good exercise for all of us to kind of start practicing. So start noticing when you're talking, when you're sharing, or you are engaging into a conversation, kind of make a pause for a moment and review yourself and see how many times you are speaking the same conversation. You're looping into the same conversation, the same subject, the same topic, and it doesn't go nowhere. That is a very important, this is a very, very important piece of information, because it's going to help you to break patterns, to break vicious circles with your own, with the talking itself. It is something that is very easy to bypass, but it's very important. Because we're used to the same conversations all over and over again.
Yep.
Yeah,
Nikki and I we drove from San Diego up to Northern California. And all of a sudden I was like, Nikki, we've been telling the same stories we already know, right? Like, so in the beginning, when you're getting to know somebody and everything, right, you tell them about your life. But then I noticed we're like telling the same stories, which will pull you back and keep you in that timeline.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
So it took some willpower to change that. Not even gonna lie. Yep.
Yeah,
We had to change the conversation.
And I get that too, like being my salon in home and with all the restrictions and stuff playing out, the hard part is everybody only has the same thing to talk about. And that's what their belief is or isn't, what they support or don't, what they're angry at or not. And because nobody's really aware or doing anything different that has nothing to do with that, everybody comes in and talk about the same thing. So you try to change it in the sense of, trying to listen to what they say because you want to hear them. But when it's the same thing for 10 clients, you're drained. Right. So then you're like, okay, so how's the weather for you? Are you going outside and walking? How's the dog? Like, it's almost like you're completely lost anymore on what to talk about.
What are you doing that's fun?
Yeah, it's like now you have to take the effort to tell something else that nobody knows about you, or, and you're trying to dig into new conversations and get to know, like, what are you learning about yourself during this? What new are you doing, instead of talking about the same thing that we talked about 6 weeks ago with the same 10 people? So you're trying to help people maybe think about new things. You're trying to think about new things. It's repetitive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know what happened? Christy? What happened is that we bypass the new experiences. We loop into the same thing, and we are not aware that every day is a new experience. We want to keep it the same, but every day is different, and it brings a new experience. So I get what you say, it's just really hard, because people so used to, it's like the river, I mean, it's just like the power of the water going on one direction, you try to move it to a different direction, is just hard.
Yeah, and then it goes right back. I've had
Exactly.
I've had a
Exactly.
conversation
Yeah.
with this guy. I met him at the park, and he would stand there and talk to me for an hour. And I was trying to help him, and he was off. It was the whole COVID and vaccination thing, right? And I'd go, oh, and show him a different angle. And he would act like, oh yeah, I get that. And 2 minutes later, he's back to talking about the other. And yeah, it was really interesting to watch, because he was stuck.
Well, somebody told me one day that what happened there is because we have the connection of the neurons on the brain.
Yeah,
They create the synapses, the neurotransmitter, they create synapses, and they create paths already existing, so is to break those ones, like Linda said, you have to be consistent for 18 days to create a new habit, and to really change it is 21 days, so you need to keep just kind of like the drop of water that goes into the rock, consistently until it creates a hole there. Is the same thing here, and mainly it's because that we have our own connections on neurotransmitters that they are so solidified, being in certain ways that it takes time to take it. I mean, you just cannot change it in a matter of 2 days. It's just pretty much impossible.
That's a perfect example of why willpower and tenacity is so important. That's
Exactly.
the perfect example.
Exactly. It's yeah. So what is our audience saying? I don't know. Can we read some of the comments?
Let's see here, we have candle exercise. Again, that word tenacity, I'm going to be friends with that
Yeah.
word and apply it to the candle work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Take that word tenacity and apply it to every aspect of your life. It just doing what is best, not just for yourself, but for the greatest good of all, because whatever we're putting in there is coming back to us. And that's been, something to really look at too for myself. It's like, what I'm putting out there, it's coming back to me one way or the other. And when it does, it's going to be a whoosh. So.
Well, and to me, the other thing I was looking at too, if I want to change conversation, the reflection was, what are you doing in your life to create change? So one thing that I've done is I've started some personal training. So I'll have something else to talk about. Kendall and I are going to go shopping, and we're going to finally buy, Marguerite gave us a Christmas present, and we're finally going to go buy some canvas and go buy some paints, and we're going to watch some videos, and we're going to paint, and we're going to hang them up down here, and, create things to talk about, create things that we enjoy, and change it instead of the normal robotic routine of get up, have breakfast, have coffee, figure out what you're going to do today, or buy for your groceries, come back home, have a bath, and go to bed. How do you make conversation out of that? Or are you really living anything in your very robotic team or routine? So if we want to have change, then we have to do that. So tomorrow was our discussion of let's go do this, and let's go do that, and let's create this, and let's create that. And you know what? I'll have beautiful things to talk about when I see my clients this week, and beautiful things that Kendall and I will create together, and an adventure of going to buy things and finding a video, and figuring out which one we want to do and why we want to do it, and
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Christy. I love that.
Yeah, that word create,
That's right.
that's a key word right there also. What are we creating? What are we creating for ourselves? And one of the things that I have noticed lately is that getting into arts is really help us with the creation part. Margaret has been working with, how do you call that type of painting, Margaret?
Fluid art or pour painting.
I mean, it's just kind of amazing, what
Yeah.
you can
All sorts of different methods. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you have gone to her personal Facebook page, but I mean, she shares with us, and it's just incredible.
Thank you. It's very fulfilling.
What's up?
It's very fulfilling.
Yes.
Well, you can see some pictures in her background.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's another important thing, you know. I mean, one thing that we really want to find on life is to be able to fulfill ourselves, fulfill spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, to live a complete life. You know, we need to look for the fulfillment on everything that we do, to feel, I mean, plenty satisfied from the soul out of what we do, you know. And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is through our willpower, changing that is familiar, routinary beliefs, distortion, wounding. Change it, leave the old outside, leave the old behind. It's a memory. Don't bring it to the present, you know, just get it out of the body and leave it where it belongs to, on the past. It's not part of my life now. So finding fulfillment of everything that I do, everything that I do is just a gift, honestly. You know, it's a blessing. I should say it's a blessing. I mean, I'm pretty sure that many of you guys have been fulfilled at least once in your life for what you have done. And it's that feeling. But in order for us to keep that feeling alive and bring it up, we need to work with the willpower to remove that is not good for us anymore. That is, it's just the old, you know, it's like you need to clean a house. That's literally what you have to do. You're just cleaning your own house, you know, changing everything within. Just the willpower.
I was thinking another aspect of that's been occurring to me since we're talking about the art, because I had been looking at things I did maybe years ago where you have to draw very minute, fine things, and it doesn't come naturally to me. But I thought I'd like to do that, but when I do that, my shoulders hunch up. Everything goes, I have to do this just right. So what's an alternative? I know something is waiting. And so for me, it's helpful to ask an open-ended question. What's coming around the corner? What's coming up next that I need to do? And then suddenly some videos popped up on my news feed. I'd never heard of pour painting before. And I go, oh, that's it. Okay. And then when Angela and I met and we went to Missouri together, I was telling her about it. She goes, I'm going to sign up for that class right now. So we both took it together, and we're both doing it. But it's just led to other things. I was in a Michael's, which is an art supply store, and this guy came up and I was choosing out a brand, and he said, I found that this brand will save you money and work better. And I said, thank you. I appreciate that. And I thought in my mind, I'd like to be of that kind of help to somebody else along the way. Well, then a couple of weeks later, a woman was going down the aisle and looking at the same paints. So I directed her towards the paints. And then she told me she was going to take a class on intuitive drawing, but she was very hesitant because she'd never done anything like that in her life before, and she didn't feel like she had any talent. I said, it's not about talent. It's just about doing what brings you expression and joy. And so that was 3 weeks ago. And then I was there at Michael's again today, and she poked her head around the corner. I didn't recognize her. She kept looking at me. She had this big canvas that was bigger than herself. And she said, look what you did. And she said, I just felt led to buy this big old thing, and I'm going to go for it. And so it was nice. And I got into the checkout line, and I got some heavy items, and the clerk was helping me get the stuff out to the car. And then she came running out to the car from the store. She goes, "Here, you forgot your bag on the counter. I'll see you again in a few weeks." So it's like we'll encounter each other again. But it's what I had been asking myself, and I think open-ended questions for me work really well, rather than me trying to make things or will things to happen for me, is what would it feel like if I, who would I be if I, how would life be different if I, and then I leave it blank. Because the back part of the brain, if we kind of go back into that imagery, it's like a Google search engine. Whatever you put in there, it's going to bring up the files for associated or unassociated. So if I say, "Why do I feel sick all the time?" Cancel, delete. But if I say that, it's going to bring up all sorts of files. Well, this. What would it be like if I felt pretty darn good? It's going to start bringing that up, not always consciously, but it has to work on it. And so for me, open-ended questions are helpful. And one that I've been playing with is, what would it be like if I realized there was no separation at all? And that's when things are happening now, like the woman in the aisle and the person before me that helped me out is bum, 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 bum. Everything's connected. And to realize that and to go that way, and where before if I needed something, now I catch that thought. I go, if I ask the question, or even have the question of where is it or what do I need? Before I might have been scouring the internet or looking at different sites or whatever. I say, it's around the corner. Just wait. And within a day, usually, it'll show up. Because I'm allowing.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to go for it, make it.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different approach. And I'm also, it's hard to let go. We all do, relations that are sick or close to maybe dying. And so part of me wants them to get well, because I know the ramifications, what will happen to their loved ones if they die at this point in their life. Or I think I know.
Yeah.
And then there's part of me says it's not good for them to all have to suffer, because it would be better that person got well. But how do I know that? I don't know. So about all I can do is say, yeah, I pray for the best for them, and it goes back into the heart, thy will be done. Because this is the moment, and that's all I can do is just put the question out there, what would it be like? And then I'll leave it to you, God.
And those open-ended questions that you had said and shared with us, they really do allow for life to just unfold for us.
Yes.
And that's really important. And I really like your questions. Thank you.
So what would it feel like if, who would I be if, how would life be if, or how would life be different if, and then leave it alone.
I don't know why I was asking. Okay, so Miss Ellen put on here that she was going to look at trying new recipes and new things. And I thought, you know what? And then you were talking about open-ended questions, and I'm like, and I don't know why I did this, but I was putting the two of them together, and I'm like, why do I feel like I make the same meals every week? Why do I feel like I make the same things? Is that because that's the only thing how I know, or because it's what I know how to do it quickly, I can get it done and my family's fed? Instead of, maybe I should look up new recipes. If I have to plan for the week, maybe find new foods that I'm not used to eating, and planning something different. Why do I eat this on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays? Why do I eat that? You just made me question why I have.
What would that feel like?
Yeah. And why do you, of course, want things to always be so easy? Where really, if I just sat there, maybe even communicated with my family and said, so what would you guys feel like eating this week? Why don't you each pick a new recipe, something that we've never had before? Let's figure out maybe when we're going to do it, because Cole's got baseball. So maybe on a Wednesday when we only have an hour, you know, we might cut up some apples and have some chicken that's already ready or something. But, you know, maybe the other 6 days this week, we can plan something that we've never had before and have that experience in creating it together and the flavors together. And, you know, if we like it or if we don't. But yeah, sorry, I was just flowing with it. Just meals come up and questions that you were asking. I'm like, again, something else that we're so repetitive and routine human thinking that really we can change that and have the willpower to create something different.
Yeah, you could all sit there and look through cookbooks and say, let's just put our finger in one place and open it up and see where that is.
Or maybe on a Friday and we decide to eat, somebody had said, I think everyone has one of those containers that have all those big ladles and all your like big spoons and like tongs and everything in it. And maybe on a Friday, I don't care if it's spaghetti or pizza, and everybody pick one of the things that are there to eat your food with. And some spaghetti with tongs, and maybe somebody's going to spaghetti with the spatula, and see what happens.
Yeah, right. It's funny. Nikki and I just today packed up probably 200 cookbooks for the ranch.
Okay.
And we had the idea that, we'll pick, I know everybody can pick their night they want to cook, but you just grab a cookbook, don't even look at it, open up a page, and that's what you're going to cook. So
see how we're all connected. Yeah.
See how we're all connected? That's it.
Yeah.
Is it making anything here?
Yeah, well, it's just being creative.
Could create a new family cookbook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I like that.
Absolutely. We can compile all the recipes that each one of us really enjoyed most, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, and for us, it would be out of the norm. So it creates conversation. It creates something new to talk about, a new adventure, then we're getting out of the robotics, I guess.
Yeah.
We're getting out of.
Yeah, being spontaneous.
Yeah.
Yeah, start being spontaneous. Do something different.
Yeah.
Turn the TV off and do something different, or plan something for the weekends or whatnot. It's just get out of our routine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's being creative as well. Just finding something different to do, and get your family involved. Not, it's not just you and I or whoever. It's everyone, and get involved. Family, everything. Even if it's your other part of the family, get them all involved. And that's dealing with the now, and that's dealing with your willpower too, because you want to make the change.
It's even sometimes just the little subtle things, because something that was pointed out to me by Linda was that I'm very compliant in that, it'll be like, well, what do we want for supper tonight or whatever? And somebody will mention something. And then, I'll be asked, Nikki, what do you want? And I'm like, oh, that sounds fine with me. Not even ever, that automation, if you will, just that automatic answer. Oh yeah, that sounds fine. That sounds good. Well, tonight, Vicki was like, so what do we want for dinner tonight? I used my willpower to immediately pipe up. And I said, oh, do you have any good Thai restaurants around here? And I've only had Thai one other time, and it was really good. And so I was like, that just like came up to me and said I was waiting for someone else to give an answer so that I can comply to it.
Well, and that's the easy part. It's like if somebody else chooses, I know exactly what I'll want from that place. So and I'm not picked. Just tell me where I have to choose from. But you're right. If you at least pick something, right? You have to say something.
When we were in Arizona, Karen took us to a vegan. Is that
Vegan,
right?
yeah.
A vegan restaurant. And I have never eaten in a vegan restaurant. So I had no idea what to order. And I'm like, I see this thing on the menu and it's lentil stew. And I'm like, oh, I like lentils. I bet that'll be good. So I go ahead and get that. Woo! That stuff was so spicy. I couldn't even eat it. I was like, yeah, no, I don't like that anymore. So now I know, don't order that. But the Buddha bowl was really
Oh,
good.
that was good. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, while you're in California, enjoy it. You got a multiplicity of different types of food.
Definitely. I've been finding out a lot of different things that I've never had before.
Yeah.
We had Vietnamese at some point in our travels. Was that in Arizona too? I don't remember. But it was like that. It was that broth that you had to put the vegetables in.
Oh,
the meat in.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was a Vietnamese.
I don't know what it was, but it was really pho. Never had that either.
PHO.
That was really interesting too. It's like you get this big container of this delicious broth. I can't even tell you how good it was. It was so good. And then you put in, there was raw meat that you drop into this really hot broth and then your vegetables. And I was like, wow, I've never had anything like that, but it was so good. And I'm like, I'm glad I tried it.
Well, we do have an advantage here. Bunch of us, so we all share.
Right? That is so true. That's beautiful.
It
that we
is,
do
yeah.
share. It's like, well, let me try that. Let me try that. Yeah. It's really cool that way. I love it.
That gives us advantage, that's for sure. because
Absolutely.
Because you read the menu means nothing.
Right? It's like, I don't know what that is.
What's that? Same with Mariana there the one time, with the Mexican food and that, and I'm going, okay, Mariana, you're the expert. What's in this? Okay, I'll take that. That sounds good. Yeah.
Did you get octopus?
Yeah, but I love it.
I like
anyway.
octopus.
Really?
We're having gator tonight too, I think.
No, they ran out of
Oh, did they
alligator.
run out?
Oh,
Oh, no. We
The
had
gator was
oysters
the
last night, though.
No.
Yeah. Barbecued oysters.
Oh,
Wow.
See, barbecue, and again, I'll have to look at this, but barbecue I'd probably like, because are they less slimy?
Yeah. Way less. Way less.
I have such a texture thing. Oh my God, snails. I went past the texture thing. The taste is god awful. I did try it, but there's a texture thing with me. So I think it's the same with pierogies. I can't boil them, but I can fry them in a frying pan. Like, so
Yeah.
barbecued oysters, I might be able to try.
Oh, you'll be able to handle
You'd
that
like
one.
it.
Yeah. You need that. I know for sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Miss Ellen left, right? I don't know. She's already gone, but bye, Ellen.
Oh, was she on there?
Yeah, well, she was commenting in here.
Oh,
She said she needed to go. Love and hugs to all. So
right. Any other questions?
no, I don't see any other questions in here. No.
No, mostly everybody's just sharing kind of experiences and foods.
Yeah.
And telling us how to say pho instead of pho.
Yeah.
I thought it was pho. I didn't know. Does that mean fish?
Maybe.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I don't know. But anyways, it's really good.
Wow.
Well, pho is good.
Doesn't sound good either. Oh.
Yeah.
Remember, you need to use your willpower to say fun, not more.
Oh,
It works though.
Absolutely.
sure.
Anyway, so
It's funny too. Just another example that just popped in my mind. We have a lot again, and I don't mean to bring this up, but the pendulum swing of what's going on outside about, again, beliefs, right? COVID's perfect example. We have a freedom convoy going on right now. So the pendulum swing of support and not support. And I really had to look at my place in that and where I was allowing my mind to have too much control over me and bring it back to center. Because I said to Dad tonight, I said, what I was realizing is I was becoming part of the creation of the pendulum swing because I was having really strong feeling towards one way or the other. And I realized, again, I had to stop and go, there's truth to both. There is like agree to disagree. There, you have to figure out what both sides mean to you in that moment. Because if I allow myself to go one way too far, the other way, I help create that pendulum swing. I have to find my neutral and what the message is. Stop. To be neutral. My dog is whining to go outside again.
It's not your kids, it's a dog.
Yeah, it is. But having to stop the mind and use the willpower and what the message is for me in that moment, what I'm being shown in that moment and told, what's my belief in that moment, and how do I bring myself to the neutral aspect of it so I'm not helping create and be a part of that pendulum swing. It's definitely not an easy one right now. Because I said to Dad, I said, how many people do we need to be neutral to keep the pendulum from swinging so far? Because it's literally like watching, you know how you've got the balls and they hit each other? It's like literally watching it go like this. Like it's not doing this, it's doing this. And how are you that ball in the middle to try to help keep it from going too fast or too slow or too high? Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Do.
having to catch myself, my thoughts in that moment, talk out loud and figure out what that is, what my emotion is to it, what my trigger is. But being able to take that time in that moment to control that, you know, not control, but to figure it out, to see what it's showing me so I don't add momentum one way or another.
Yeah.
Good thing. Good for you. Two on both sides.
Yeah, I was honestly, I was just kind of enjoying the moment when Margaret was speaking and sharing her experiences on the art that she's doing now, and also her feelings about what people is going through with some relatives, you know, some close ones. And it took me back to an experience that some of us had with Linda when we came from Baja. Maybe some of you knew or you didn't know, I don't know. We went to Baja. She had to do some work in stabilizing the tectonic plates on the Pacific side. So when we were coming back, crossing the border from Mexico to the United States, there is, for those who are not familiar on crossing the border, there is usually a long line of cars and waiting to cross the border. You know, it's a slow line. It takes like an hour to cross, depending the port of entry and depending the time that you cross. Anyway, so we spent like an hour over there on the line, just moving slowly, you know, until it got our time to cross the border. Anyway, so on the Mexican side, there is a lot of people who works along the lines of the who make their income by working informal jobs, put it this way, along the lines with those cars. People, very low income people. I mean, what I mean is there is a lot of people in poverty that come along and offer their services on the sense of they clean your windshield, or they sell burritos, or they clean your car, or they sell you cheese, many things, you know, many things, or candies, because it's the way of living, you know, it's a way to generate income. So what we did is we were on the line and we saw this little boy sitting down on the sidewalk, and his father was was working cleaning windshields on the cars, and the boy was with him. Probably he was 5 years old, more, I think around 5 years old. He was a very young boy. And Linda said, when she looked at them, she said, well, her dad is teaching him to work, is teaching him that he has to have a responsibility, to earn the money at their level, at their own situation. And that really touched our heart that Linda call the boy and give him 500 pesos. And it was so funny because the boy, he didn't see the bill. He just grabbed the money and put it on his pocket. He didn't say to his dad anything. I'm pretty sure that he will do later on, but at that very moment, he just grabbed the money and put it on his pocket. 500 pesos for them, I'm telling you, is sometimes a week of income. And she just did it right now in that moment. So that was just the starting point. Everybody empty our pockets to start giving people all along the way. Nothing was for free. They always gave us something in exchange.
Yeah.
We bought tortillas. We paid them way more than what they were asking for. There was this guy on a wheelchair. She was selling popsicles or suckers. I don't know how you call it. I mean, we helped him. But it was this particular young man that it was with this old man who was on a wheelchair that he sold us some candies. So when Linda handed the money to him, this guy looked so deep into Linda with that gratitude, but from the soul, recognizing her. They stared each other on their eyes. And he just, his eyes were full of tears for what just happened to him on that very moment. The connection was powerful in that moment. Mm-hmm. Powerful. Anyway, so we continue until we crossed the border. And we were sharing these experiences with our private group. And it reminds me because what Margaret was sharing with us, the experiences that she has been going through with the art, the art that she's doing now, she's allowing herself to flow. She's allowing to be on the now, on the moment. She's allowing to be guided by spirit. Mm-hmm. And the experience that you gain is a complete fulfillment for yourself. Is indescribable. It's something that you need to experience. And those are the type of experience that are building our foundation. That is the type of foundation that we're looking forward. I even get a goosebump all over my body. It just is that, and it happens on the moment. It happens on the now, on the small details, and it's what humanity has been bypassing because it's so busy catching up with everything outside of you.
Or we think it's going to take time, or we have to really learn or study or become a master.
Exactly.
It's just more, what would it be like if that talent or creativity or ability or change or avenue or resource or whatever, fill in the blank, was there waiting for me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Is stepping and walking through your own fears.
Yeah.
Because all those limitations and excuses and reasons for not doing it is just pure fear foundation. Mm-hmm. And is the foundation, the old foundation that we want to get rid of. Because if we look back our foundation has been built on fear. And we want to get rid of that and feel and build a new foundation based on trust in spirit. Move forward into a new creation that is going to be driven by our trust in spirit, by divine guidance, if we allow it to, that it comes directly from the heart, from no other place. And the mind is going to be an excellent tool, but it's not going to be the master anymore. But it's going to be an invaluable tool to fulfill what we have to do through those experiences that we live on every breath, if we allowed it. And this is where the willpower take place on it. I'm allowing my willpower to be present for the betterment of all, of the collective, using all the resources and tools that we already have. But it's that those experiences that are going to fulfill me as an individual, as a unique expression of creation. That's what we're looking for. I have said.
Yeah.
No, we don't have any questions.
Well, I think dinner is calling us.
Yes,
Would you like to eat dinner with us, guys?
yeah, we'll share.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to know the names of everything you're going to eat and how good it was. So when I go to a Thai restaurant, I know different things that I should probably try.
Was it mild, medium, or spicy?
Yeah.
For me, mild, totally mild.
Me too.
Yeah. Don't forget, guys, we're going to be Monday morning is the
Coffee tea profundity.
thank you, Coffee Tea Profundity, 5 a.m. Central Time. And at night, we're at 7 o'clock Central Time, Monday, this coming Monday, February 7. We're going to have the lighter side of profundity with special guests, Linda and Shane.
Yeah.
Please don't miss that session. It's going to be awful. Make sure that you rest during the day, be fresh, because it's going to be a long session. Okay.
Yeah.
So
3-4 hours, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably. So be ready, guys. Have a wonderful day, wonderful evening. I don't know what it is, morning,
Morning,
afternoon,
afternoon,
wherever you
yeah.
are around the world. And, on Sunday, maybe, because for some of you, it's already Sunday. So
Yep.
have a good weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Okay, guys,
Yeah.
we love you.
Thanks for showing up.
It was a pleasure, honestly, a pleasure to come back again and be with you guys. I
We miss
really
you.
did it. We really miss you guys.
Yep.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Have a good
Good
night.
night.